Hello my friends, thanks for stopping by. I hope you're all having a great day. If you are hearing me, if you are seeing me, it means that finally I am putting up a tutorial video. If you like this look, it's coming to you in just a minute. It is date night, so I thought, well, what the heck, I'm just going to try to record it, and if you're watching it, it worked. I never know until I watch them back. We are going to a little restaurant. I'm hoping to be able to sneak in a couple of maybe what we're eating, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know. This is my cheat meal, so I'm going to have whatever I want. And what else? I know many of you were probably hoping for a Healthy Zone video. I will have one for you next week. I just ran out of time this week. They are much more time consuming to make than this type of video. So stick with me and we'll be back next week. But for now, if you like what you see, keep watching. See ya. So my face has my moisturizer, my sunscreen, and I applied my primer, and I'm trying the Makeup Forever. This is step 1. It is their smoothing primer. It does an okay job on pores. There is nothing like the Rachel K CC cream, but I am out of Rachel K CC cream, so I bought this tube. I also prime underneath my eyes. You do not need to prime underneath your eyes, but I like to, and I've been using the Glow Mineral Under Eye Primer. So that is the primer. Now we're going to move on to my foundation, which is Makeup Forever, and this is the new Ultra, and I am in color 127. I have a little mirror here. I'm just going to put 2 pops of it on here. I'm going to add a little bit of my Giorgio Armani fluid in, I think this is number 10. Yes, number 10. I'm just going to put a drizzle of it in there just to add some color. And then I'm going to take my finger and just blend the two together really well. And then I'm going to just dab on my face. Okay, now I am going to take a Marc Jacobs brush, and I'm going to dab whatever's left on the mirror, which is not much, and I'm just going to dab this on. I do a little pouncing action and drag the foundation down. I always work down because we may have little hairs and we don't need them standing up any more than they already do. Although I do face shaving, and I did it the other day. So I blend it down, and then I'll go and just pounce over that. I don't really bother going up underneath my eyes because I am going to use a concealer under there. Next step, I'm going to use 2 concealers tonight. This is the Dior Star Concealer, and this is number 2. I'm only going to apply this right here because it has a little bit of peach, and as you can see, I have really dark circles. So I'm going to then take the Naked, and I will have everything underneath as to colors. And the Naked is going to be on the outer part because I don't have to worry too much about that. Now I am going out with Louis tonight, so I will wear a little more makeup because the lighting will be dim in the restaurant, so you can get away with a little bit more. I'm going to then take the Marc Jacobs, and I'm just going to tap that all under where the dark is and just drag it down and up and around. Oh, I hope the lighting works. I hope the lighting works. Okay, so I'm going to just pat that in, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, taking the Christian Dior where the darkness is, and then just blending out the other one, the Naked Skin. And I bring it down a little bit because you want that highlighting effect. Then I'm going to go in with my Beauty Blender, and I am just going to tap over that. I'm not going to rub, I'm just pouncing lightly because you don't want to remove it all. Okay? And what I like about this Naked concealer that I found is it really dries down nicely and it doesn't really budge for me. Okay, so now I want to set my foundation, and right now I am using the Translucent by Laura Mercier. I'm going to just tap some of it into the lid, and now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make sure that I have no creases or lines underneath my eyes, because once you set it, if you have creases, that's what you're going to have, is a crease setting. So I'm going to take this is a Sigma brush. I'm just going to take it and lightly tap it into the powder, and I'm just going to tap it underneath my eyes. And I like to use the fiber brush because it picks up less product, and underneath our eyes at a certain age you do not want to have that much product underneath. So now I'm just setting this, and I have no lines underneath there, so now my concealer will stay where it's supposed to stay. Okay? Okay, so now I don't rub this on right away. I will just tap it onto the cheek area because that's where I'm going to be putting bronzer and blush, and I want to make sure that that area is powdered down because I don't want my makeup grabbing anywhere. So I'm going to start by putting onto my lid the Soft Ochre by MAC. And at first I'm just going to take my finger, I'm going to tap it in, and I'm going to place this all on my lid area. And for me this is very important to use something that is a flesh tone to cancel out all the blue I have, because it would change my foundations. I focus mainly on the lid area, and then I will feather it up to the top. Okay, so that would be that. Okay, so we have now primed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in with that fiber brush and a little bit of the Laura Mercier powder, and I'm just going to rub it on my eyelids just to give it a nice canvas to start with. I think this helps your eyeshadow go on smoother, and it's just an easier application. Okay, with my 217 brush I'm going to start out with my Soft Peach by Anastasia, and you can tell I really love this because I hit pan on it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to lay down some sort of foundation for myself to follow. That is really important. I do tap off. There's a slight fall off with these, not much. So I'm going to lean my head back slightly because it helps me in placement, and I want to place most of this color in my crease, just to give, like I said, to give myself a little bit of a base. And I'm taking it all the way into the center and out. Okay. I want to really focus on the crease area first. And then I just take a little over the lid area. Not much, just a little. I want the crease area to have the most color. Okay? So the next color I'm going to go in and reach for is, this is Burnt Orange, and it is a matte color. I'm going to take, let's see, this is a Sigma 125. I'm just going to tap it in, and I'm going to go over exactly what I just did. So I'm just defining my crease a little bit more with this Burnt Orange, focusing most of it on the outer eye. Okay? So you can see, it, when you do this, you start to give the illusion of having a much wider lid and more lifted lid. So now I'm going to take a fluffy brush, and I'm just going to take, this is an e.l.f. brush, and I'm just going to soften that line. Now I'm going to go in for something that's a little deeper in color, and I believe this is Sienna. I'm going to take the same brush, I'm going to take a 217 by MAC, I'm going to go into the Sienna, and I'm just taking a small amount of Sienna first. You can always build up more. This I want to focus just on the outer part of my eye. And this one I will bring down a little bit on the lid. So you see, I'm focusing it here, and then I'm swiping it on the lid. Okay? Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to take, what is this, hot chocolate? These are all Anastasia and these are all mattes. This is a matte look I'm doing, okay? So now I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to tap some on, more on the angle of the brush instead of on the front of the head. I'm going to tap that off, and here I'm going to place it and just really emphasize it on the outer part of my lid. Okay, so you see, same thing, emphasizing on the outer part of the lid, just a little. Now if you want, you can flare this out more, especially if you wear a liner, and I would just suggest that you work up with it. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit more on the outer edge, in the outer crease. I'm leaving the center of my eye open. Now I'm going to go back in with that e.l.f. brush and I'm just going to lightly buff those colors, lightly. You don't want to smudge them into one color, you still want to have the contrast of each color. Okay, so now that I'm looking at it, I need a little bit more lift on the outer edge. So I'm going to take a nice little fluffy brush. This is my Stila brush in number 6. Okay. I'm going to go in with Soft Peach, which I started with, and I'm just going to lift it up all the way to the brow bone on the outer part, and it just helps to lift the eye up without giving too much color. Okay, and it just kind of unifies the whole look. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more color, and I'm going to take the burnt orange again, and I'm going to mix some of it with the peach. So I'm taking Soft Peach with a little bit of the burnt orange, and I'm going to go on the outer edge and just lift up with this. Okay, so it's just giving me a little bit more lift on the edge, Soft Peach with the burnt orange, and I'm lifting up in the outer edge. Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, so now, when you look at me, it's giving the illusion of a lip, but I'm going to do my eyebrows next, which will really help out. Okay, so for underneath the eyes, I'm going to take a pencil brush, okay? And I'm going to go in with the Soft Peach first. And this one, I have to use a mirror, so I'm going to take one of these little hourglass mirrors, and I'm going to tap it off, and I'm going to just go underneath with the peach, Soft Peach, all the way. And this, again, it's just like a transition color I'm adding underneath before I add others. Always working up on the eye. Okay, then I'm going to take the burnt orange with the pencil brush, tap it off, and I'm going to just put this more, emphasize it more on the outer part of the eye, but we are going to run it softly over the rest. Now I'm going to take some of that hot chocolate, and I'm just going to dab the tip of this in. I'm going to tap it off, and I'm just going to focus this on the outer part and flare it up. So then we're going to take just another clean brush, whatever you have, and we're just going to kind of smudge them down slightly. So that is basically my eyeshadow. I'll put my brows on now, and again, I'm going to have to look into my mirror over here. Hopefully I won't go out of camera, but if I do, I'm sorry. I'm going to use I've been using the Smashbox Brow Tech Matte Pencil in Brunette. I really like it, so I'm just going to brush my eyebrows up, what I have of them. And there's so many white ones in there, I can't even pluck them, okay? Okay, so I'm going to start my brow. I'm just going to fill it in. My brows are very sparse in certain areas, so I really have to build them up. Okay, so my brows are finished. Now we're going to go on and do our bronzer. And I really, really have been enjoying the NARS Tahitian bronzer in Laguna. It's really nice. Very, very nice. I think it is. Okay, so I'm going to take my MAC 135 and I'm going to load it up with some bronzer, tap it off, and I'm going to go right into the hollow, start there, but I'm going to turn the brush so it starts to bronze, and then I'm going to turn it around and do the forehead. So most of my bronze is focused in the back part, okay? Okay, my bronzer is on, but because the light is shining in so bright, it looks like I didn't really do this side, because you can really see this side, and this side gets washed out by the light, but it's there, okay? All right, so bronzer is all done. Next, I'm going to go in with my blush, and I think tonight I'm going to wear, this is by MAC, and it is called Barefaced, and it's a satin, so it gives a nice little shimmer. And I'm going to use my Bobbi Brown blush brush with it, and it's just a pretty peach. I'm going to tap it in, and I'm going to look straight ahead because that's the best way to do your blush. And if you need to smile a little to see where your cheeks really go, you can. So I want to focus it mainly on the upper part of my cheek and just lightly bring it forward, but most of the color will stay on the upper part. I also take just whatever's left over of my blush and I place it over my eyelids just lightly, just to help marry the colors all together. You can also do a little bit of it above your forehead. You don't have to, okay? Now I'm going to take the powder brush and I'm just going to blend lightly. We're not going hard with this. We're just blending lightly so that we have no harsh lines. At our age, that's very important. Okay, so now I want to add a little highlighter because you know it is date night. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is going to seem excessive to some, but it's date night and I'm just going for a more romantic, feminine, you know, sexy look to my face. So I'm going to take my MAC, I think this is a 137, and I'm using the Hourglass Diffused Light, and this is the one that has a little bit of yellow tint to it. I'm just going to tap this brush into it and just give it a little shake, and I'm just going to sweep underneath, right by the eyes, underneath, to soften that look, okay? It's not a large amount and it's not a big move, okay? Just slightly. Then I'm going to go in with Luminous Light by Hourglass, which gives you more of a glow. And I am going to use, let's see, I'm going to use the MAC, this is just a blush brush or something, and I'm going to tap it in, and I'm going to just tap this along there. You can see exactly where I'm putting it now, and I'm going to blend it down, but I always start on the upper part, okay? And then I'm going to sweep this down. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of it on the bridge of my nose. And I'm going to do a little bit just above my brow. This is that J-Lo glow, you know? We want to all have the J-Lo glow. The top part of the brow is where I'm putting this. And I'm kind of sweeping it. I wouldn't do this during the day, okay? And then I'm just going to put a little touch of it in the center, the Cupid's bow, and a little bit on my chin, okay? Then I'm going to take the brush again, and I'm going to sweep down on that. Same with my nose, Cupid's bow, just to make sure that it's all blended nicely, okay? Now I want to emphasize my eyes a little bit, and I need to, when I wear contacts, I need to do this step last because it just gets out of control. I'm going to use the Makeup Forever Aqua Eyes, and this is in 2L, and I am going to take my mirror, because I have to, And I'm going to make it look like I'm wearing liner, but I'm really not. I'm going to take this right on the edge of the V, and I'm going to just follow my lashes, okay? So I'm going from the corner, staying underneath the lashes, onto the wet line, water line, tight line. Okay, so let me block that out so you can see. Of course, if you like liner, you go right ahead and put liner on. Okay, so I'm not going to put any liner on the bottom line yet. I have to see what it all looks like when I'm done. Alright, so now I am going to go ahead and do my lip liner. And I think I'm going to wear, this is Givenchy's number 3. It's a really nice peachy pink. I really like it a lot, and it goes really well with the lipstick that I'm going to wear tonight. So I'm going to do my lips. Now, if you want a little fuller lip, just accentuate on the lower part of the lip here and at your cupid's bow, not on the outer part, because then you start to look like the Joker. But and if you use matte lipsticks, it will actually look nicer because you don't see the difference between the shimmer and the lip line. But I'm lining right on my lips, okay? So, okay. On the top, I always turn it sideways, always. And I keep with my peaks. I like my peaks. I don't go over the peak and make it one whole line. It's very important as we age. It's important anytime you're applying a lip liner, but more so when we're aging. You must have your lip liner sharp. You want a very precise, smooth line. You don't want it going all over and jagged edges. You really want to follow your lip line. I fill it in slightly. And I really love this formula of Marc Jacobs, and this is the understudy. This is the nude line he came out with. I love this formula. Now, I don't normally add a gloss when I'm wearing this formula, but for this evening I will. And I will probably just put either, I think I'm going to put a little bit of Big Baby. There's two that look nice in it with it, and that is Love Nectar and Big Baby. But Big Baby has just a slight more color to it. So I'm going to go ahead, and it's also my favorite MAC. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to put a little Big Baby over it. And these are the only 3 things I will carry with me tonight. My lip liner, my lip gloss, and my lipstick. So I put them off to the side because those will go with me. Nothing else goes with me. Okay. One last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Hourglass Luminous Light. I'm going to take a little bit of it on an eye brush, just a small amount of it. And I'm going to just tap it on the part that I didn't put any shadow on. I'm just going to go ahead and put some of the luminous light on that area. Okay, and then I'm going to take my e.l.f. brush and just blur it out. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to put my mascara on. Okay, so I am going to, I have to pull my eye a little bit, and I don't want to rub off my makeup, so I am going to pull my eye with this and curl my lashes. And the reason why I have to pull my eye is this is very almond shaped, this eyelash curler. I've been using the Shiseido eyelash curler for years and years, I think before I was on YouTube. And I just absolutely love it. I think it gives the best curl to the lashes. Okay, and that's why I love it. So I'm going to use Giorgio Armani mascara. Joelle sent me this. She went to Paris and came back, but this is the number 3. It is the most perfect brown mascara. So I am going to go ahead and apply this, and you may not see me do it on camera because it's a little tough to do on camera. So I may be back. Now that I have my mascara on the top lashes, I feel I need a little bit more on the bottom lid as far as eyeshadow. So I'm going to go in with that hot chocolate. I'm just going to put some on the very tip of this brush, and I'm going to accentuate the outer part of my eye just to give it a smokier effect, even though we're not doing a real smoky eye. Okay, there you go. Now I'll put my mascara on my lower lid. Okay, my friends, that is the finished look. I'm going to take my hair out, put on my outfit. I'm so hoping that this video makes it your way. If you're listening to me right now, it did. And if it did, I think I'm going to get some window treatments for this side, or maybe a shade, so that when the sun is really bright, I can turn it down. It has settled down a little bit. The sun has gone away, so I think you can see the whole look now. You know, I'll never be able to do a 2-minute tutorial for you. I'm an aging woman with aging skin, and it takes a village. It takes a lot to get our face to behave and our eyes to look young. So you can see the difference and the lift in my eye with this application. Now I do different types of application. I use different colors. And sometimes I think I'm just going to do tutorials on looks that are out there. I may not wear them, but you may like them. So I may start doing those if this works. And thanks for stopping by. Don't forget, subscribe. We're anti-aging here. Be happy, be healthy, be beautiful, and most of all, my friends, be lovable. I love you all. And on my nails is a new polish in the Zoya Fall collection called Hannah. Louis likes red nails, so on date night, Louis gets red nails. See you all soon. See ya.